when I want this cell to perform a mathematical equation, I hit what? Equals. I don't want to type anything. I want this number. I just select the cell and it automatically plugs C4 right there automatically. Subtracted, I hit the minus sign, by this number. Do I not? Right? That's the mass difference. Enter. Now I want the same thing for the next cell. Do I want to type in the same thing? No, that's a waste of time. See that little square in the bottom? I'm applying the exact same formula to all of those. So it automatically does that. Percent change mass is going to be equals, right? The mass difference, which is final minus initial, divided by the initial, right? Now, this is already in the format of percent. Does that make sense? Somebody already selected that cell to be, but by default, the format is just plain number, right? By default, it's just a decimal point. If I want to convert a decimal point into a percentage, I either have to go and do this, take that whole thing, right, and multiply it by 100. What button means multiply? It's the asterisk button. I either do this, cool, that does 14.71, but I don't want to do that. There's a better way to do that, to change it into a percent. It automatically multiplies by 100, and then it also actually adds the percent sign. So I highlight all these, and I just format whatever that number is, churn it into a percent, multiplied by 100. Got it? You see how it's already all highlighted? I want the average. When you ever do an average, when you highlight a rows of things, and you click the average, it's this function symbol. You can do sum, average. You can count. You can do a count of things, like count how many things are in a specific cell, all the cells. You can do a maximum, minimum, whatever. When you hit average, it automatically adds it to the cell at the end. But I want to put it in this cell, Mr. Vieira. Well, pretty simple. Cut, paste. I don't like that formatting. I merged all of these together, right? See the merge cell? Bam. To make one giant cell. That's the merge button. You can unmerge things too. I want it all in the middle because it's pretty that way. First of all, I want its borders on the outside, and I want to go to the line. I want it not only in the center, horizontally, but I also want it to align in the middle, like that. Everybody with me so far? Good. So you guys did that with everything? Now look, so if you would have had 0.0 molar with an M here and 0.2 molar with an M, it would have totally screwed up the graph. Let me give you a word of advice. When you're wanting to plot an X and Y axis graph, and it's number values on both, right? Number values. Make sure that those cells only contain numbers. Because the minute you add a letter, it's no longer a numerical value, right? And it totally confuses its ability to manufacture a chart. And it won't allow you to create a scatter plot the way that you want. Okay, guys? So look, I don't put the M's here. I just put the numerical values. But that's okay because look, I've already titled that row sucrose solution in molarity. Got it, guys? So on the bottom, it's average percent change in mass. So 19.79%. Just put the regular number, right? What was 0.2? 11.73. 0.4? Negative 19. What does that mean? It's now a negative number. It lost mass. That means the final was actually smaller than the initial, right? This right here, no bueno. That is not the mass difference. Let's do this. Delete, delete, delete. The mass difference is equals. It is that minus that. Should be a negative number, guys. You just put the difference was 11. No, it was 11 in what direction? So it must be negative. Okay, guys? And all of these are correct. So 0.4 was negative 19.52. Negative 19.52. 0.6 was negative 33.67. 0.8 was negative 52.7. And the 1 molar is negative 53.95. This is not pretty for me. I have a little bit of OCD. I got to have it in the center and in the middle, because that is easier to read when it's all nice and organized. I'm going to highlight all of this. I'm going to make A39 and A40 going to be my headers of my axes. And if it doesn't work, we can go back and just highlight this, but I think it can work if you highlight all this. I can either go Insert Chart by clicking that button or literally go Insert Chart. It automatically looks at the chart and figures out what the best chart is. This is not what I want. I want to be able to see 0.2, so I need to look at use column A as headers. Yeah, switch rows and columns. No. There we go. Use row 39 as labels. That's good. There we go.
Mr. Vera, can I just let a student in here for a little bit while he's working on
Yeah, sure. Back table's empty. There you go. All right, so look at what it does. It actually takes the two what's it called? The headers and creates a title, right? It just put sucrose solution molarity and average percent change mass in potato cores. I still have to label my axes. So let's go. I don't want a line. I always want a scatter. Okay, guys? So there's a couple things I got to tweak here. I don't like. I want it to say 0, 0.2, 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, and 1. And I want some minor grid lines as well. Everybody look at what it is here. I didn't click aggregate. I switched the rows and columns. I could have easily, guys, have had my data not like this, but I could have had them up in rows and up and down, right? I could have easily had like 0, 0.2, 0.4, and then it would have been. Then I wouldn't have had to click that button right there. Okay, guys? Because usually they put the left column as your horizontal, and your right column as your dependent or vertical axes, okay? That's what this thing just switches it. So let's go to the customization, because that's where all the fun happens. I don't need a legend because I only have one set of data. Does that make sense? If I had a couple different groups going all at once and I had to have 3 different lines, then you might need something to differentiate multiple lines, but I only have one line going on here. So I don't need a legend. Okay? That title is not really good. The title of all your graphs should be the effect of the independent variable on the dependent variable. So let's fill in the blanks. The effect of sucrose concentration on the percent change of mass of potato cores. You're probably thinking to yourself, damn, Vera, that's a huge title. You guys, I'm not naming the title of a book or a song. It's the title of a graph. It should tell me exactly what that graph is showing me. And it's showing me the effect of the sucrose concentration on the percent change of mass of potato cores, right? Now, your horizontal title should be the what? What are these numbers represent? It's the sucrose solution concentration maybe I should learn how to spell in molarity. always, did I spell that right? Always put your units. Remember Sultan, right? Always put your units. The U in Sultan is units. For Google Sheets, it actually has a drop-down box to switch to the left vertical one, and there you see it pops up right there. What do these numbers represent? It represents what? Percent change in mass. I should put in mass in the title too. Of potato cores. Okay. Now, here's the problem with the grid lines, guys. I want the major grid lines to go at every data point. I only have I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grid lines. So that poses a problem. I want each grid line to go through each data point. So how many data points do I have? I have 6 data points, don't I? Look what happens when I change my major grid lines to 6. Oops. I have to, actually, I do have to aggregate. Hold on. Yeah, I didn't have it right. There we go. So, sorry, you want to use row 39 as labels, switch rows and columns. Okay, guys? Use row 39 as labels. Got it? Okay. So, 6, now it goes, but I want to be able to see some things in between, so I want to add some minor grid lines too. I'm going to add about 10 minor grid lines in between, so that means that each line is a 0.02. But the most important thing of this graph is the trend line. And that's why I had to make sure that I had nothing but numbers for both my data sets. I want a linear trend line. And that's the most important thing in my data. Okay? Now, this is your graph. You can insert your graph. I got my title. I got my axes labeled. I got my units. This unit is in percent. This unit is in molarity. I have it's nice scale. I got all my grid lines so I can actually analyze the data. If I want to print this out, I click the arrow down there and I can save this image. And it saves it as a printable file, a PNG file. You can print this out. Okay. You can also add this to a chart, right? You can move to its own sheet, and then look, the whole sheet is this graph, and you can print this sheet as well. Let's just analyze it from here because you guys can print this out later. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording.